to talk about when you are struggling to make decisions, when you doubt yourself after you've been with a toxic person, or when you were raised by a toxic person. Why is it so hard to know when you're making a choice, to even make a choice, to, trust your decisions, trust yourself in life? So we're going to talk about that. I'm Lise Colucci, and I'm a life coach here to help you transform your life after being around toxic people, and to, just feel better in life. Okay, so if you guys can hit the thumbs up, can hit subscribe, appreciate it, and then you will be able to catch these live streams as they happen and all the videos that I put out every week. So, I see people coming and going, I don't know how to make the live chat here. Okay, I'm going to assume it works. Let's see. Okay, cool. All right, so let's just start. So, this was a question someone asked about how to trust yourself after you've been with a toxic person. So let's look at why, or some of the reasons why we don't trust ourselves anymore, or we start to doubt ourselves and doubt every decision and feel, well, I mean, a lot of it's obvious, right? We've been put down, we've been devalued, you've been told that what you think is stupid, you've been told that what you think is wrong, you've been treated like you have no mind of your own, and everything you do is supposed to be there to support this other person's life and not your own. If you were raised by toxic parents or parent, whatever, you were probably taught that you're incapable of making a decision, or every decision you make is wrong, or every choice you make is the wrong choice. And you were probably made to feel dependent upon them, because a narcissistic parent needs you to feel dependent upon them so that they can control you, so that they can maintain that as the connection. And without letting you be a whole human being, they will criticize your decisions. They will tell you how you're doing something wrong. They will call you names. They will make you question your mental health, make you question your physical health, make you question your choices, make you question your friends through the words that they say and their disapproval and their lack of validation and lack of support throughout your life. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons you wouldn't trust yourself, okay? And if you were in a relationship with someone toxic, they spent their time, devaluing you a lot of the time, which is super confusing since they just built you up earlier. So which is it? You live in a state of cognitive dissonance. When you're living in a state of cognitive dissonance, you love this person who is so darn toxic for your life and you know it in your head, you see the actions, you see the behaviors, you see the lack of change and the lack of accountability, and you feel that there is no real empathy and there's no support and there's no consideration coming towards you, and yet you stay. And so you continue, and so you're not able to trust yourself because you haven't taken yourself out of this, you know what I mean? Like, you've been part of this dynamic, not of your own wishes. You're just trying to make a relationship work. You're just trying to help things. You're trying to make it better. You're trying to do everything you can to support it. But a part of you, the logical part, goes, but I told you, right? And so you've got this conflict. You got this conflict of the knowing and the emotions, the feelings, and the intuition that's going on that creates the cognitive dissonance. And when you're in a state of cognitive dissonance, how are you supposed to even trust what to have for dinner? How are you supposed to even trust, making it the simplest, tiniest decisions for your life? And when you're talking about giant decisions, like afterward, so living in that cognitive dissonance a long time creates a neural pathway, it creates patterns, it creates behavioral changes, it creates habit. And when you're in the habit of that, you're in the habit of not trusting yourself, I'm here to suggest that a lot of it is that. Yes, there's conditioning, yes, there's programming, and yes, a lot of it is habit. So this comes to the question of, how do you get through this? How do you learn to trust yourself? Well, there's two things I'm thinking of this morning. One is judgment, and the other is, how do you show up for yourself? And those both go together, because if you're showing up for yourself as the judge and the, what did they say? Judge, jury, executioner. If you're showing up for yourself as that, if you're showing up for yourself as someone who is judging your actions instead of living your life, then yeah, it's hard to make a decision, because what if you're wrong? If you haven't learned that to make a wrong decision is not bad, then yeah, you're judging yourself. So a lot of this comes down to, yes, other people put the thoughts in your head, and other people put the conditioning on you. And again, like I was saying yesterday, the situations in life have been conditioning. They have been programming of your mind and how you think and feel. We're all susceptible to this. There's nothing wrong with you. That's not why it happens. It happens because this is how humans are. This is why manipulation works. This is why advertising works. This is why suggestibility happens. This is normal for humans. So if you can learn to show up for yourself, then you can make an actual choice about what you truly want, and be able to operate from that place. Does that make sense? So how do you get there? That sounds great. Sure. I'll just show up for myself and I won't judge anymore. Right? But so how do you do it? So there's lots of methods for doing this that I'm suggesting, but stopping the judgment. Okay. Not because judgment is bad or good, but because judgment is a box that it's holding you in. Judgment of self is not helping you make the right or wrong decision. Okay. You can intuit what is right or wrong, or you can intuit what is beneficial or harmful for your life easier if you're not judging the actions. So if you are, this is the weirdest chat. I'm sorry. This is they've changed the live stream and I can't follow it. Okay. If you are judging yourself and you stop and listen to your intuition instead and sit with the judgment as separate from yourself, you can do things like ask yourself where that came from. Ask if this belongs to you. Ask if this judgment of yourself is really your voice. Ask if it's through asking questions to yourself that you can unlock the mind and heart piece, okay? Because you're asking questions that move you forward, not questions that hold you back. Asking questions like, why is this happening to me? Why am I always so bad? Why am I so wrong? Not those questions, but the ones that move you forward. Whose reality is this? Whose question is this? Whose decision is this? Who's put this idea in my head? Most likely you're going to say, oh, it's the patterning. I can see it because it's obvious, right? My parents never let me make a decision. My parents would criticize every decision I made. Things were never good enough for them. Okay, so that was put in my head. My emotions believe it. Okay, yes, your emotions believe it. So it's finding a place inside of you. What I said yesterday about finding a place inside of yourself that can be kind to those parts of yourself that are telling you these judgmental things. Be kind to those parts of yourself. You can say to yourself, yeah, there's that judgment again. Okay, it's been useful to keep me what I think is safe. Kind of not necessary right now. Can it step aside? You know what I'm saying? Or you're to your emotions. Yeah, of course it feels like a hit to the ego to feel wrong or to do something incorrect or to be, imperfect. Of course it feels that way. And also our mind, this loop, I like to be outside of it. So I'm going to let that feeling sit there. I'm going to breathe some love into that area, and then I'm going to do something anyway. So decision making and learning to trust yourself can happen in baby steps. So if you're needing to make a decision, red or blue, and simple decisions can be really hard. It's not funny because it's actually very, you get in fight flight. Okay. It throws you straight into the amygdala response of fight flight when you have had trauma around decision making. So recognize that, look around and realize no one's out to get you. In this very moment, if I choose red or blue, no one's out to get me. Okay. If blue is the wrong answer, okay, then I can almost always change my mind and go with red. right? And that doesn't make me a bad person because I made the wrong choice for the situation. Wrong being a judgment, right? Which is not, it's just a judgment. It's not a reality. The reality might be red and blue are equally beneficial. Does that make sense? Like each decision you make is going to lead you down a path, okay? And what we're afraid of, I think, a lot of times is that the path is not the right path because we've been told we can't choose the right path. And if you're trying to make a decision like who to date after you've been with a toxic ex, that's huge. So slow it way the heck down. You don't have to be married in 2 days. You get to take time and know a person. And if that person can't wait for you to do that, they were never the right person for you in particular in the first place. You're not messing things up by slowing down. Slow your thoughts down and your emotions down by staying present to yourself, present to your own life, present to your own passions, your own joys, the things you do. Don't jump into somebody else's life, right? And mix yours with them too fast. Because yeah, you lose yourself. So staying present to yourself, if it's a dating situation, because this is, I think the question was asked around that, like making a choice. That's a big question. That's sort of like if you had toxic parents and say you never want to date because you just can't handle people, but you're trying to make a friend or you're trying to trust a coworker in a certain situation. Yeah, it's super hard to trust people. So it's through allowing that other person to be who they are, you be who you are, and you watch the behaviors. You watch the behaviors of the other person. You watch the behaviors of yourself around that person. Are you the person you want to be when you're around them? Do you feel the ability to expand your life and open your life around that person? So that comes with every decision. Okay, so come back to the decision making in general. And if you're making a decision between taking a vacation in August or September and you're freaking out because you can't figure out which is better and what if you do the wrong thing and what if it's not right and you're all up in your head, take a second, okay? Here's an exercise. Take a second. When you are all up in your head about a petty decision that really you know logically it doesn't matter which one, they're both good, right? They both work. Take a second. Come back into yourself by breathing. Your breath, you can follow your breath in and out as it naturally happens, okay? And you can, that is a natural human thing, just to breathe, right? So as you're breathing, just exhale in your thoughts anything that is judgment. It's good, bad, it's right or wrong. And just be like, it doesn't matter, okay? And then breathe in, I wonder which I'm going to do. So breathe in a question and breathe out anything that feels like judgment for like 3 seconds, okay? And as you do that, just feel your body calm down. Notice it, map it, because our mind map to the body, our mind and our body are connected. And if our body is relaxed, it sends a signal to our mind, all's good, right? And then we aren't thrown into fight flight, which throws us into the amygdala response, which means we're in fight flight and we cannot think from that place. So because you legitimately can't, okay? Your brain changes. It goes into a different way of thinking. It goes into survival. So the decision, if you're calming yourself down that way and you're exhaling and just imagining the judgment of the situation to go and the inhale. So then ask yourself, I wonder what is possible. And sit with that question for just a second before you look at the situation and see if it helps. Okay. And if it doesn't, throw it away. And if it does, keep going. All right. So what are we saying? Hey, Carly, everyday decisions. What color to paint my bathroom? TV to buy? What to make for dinner? Yeah. Even everyday decisions. Right. You're not trusting yourself. Most likely, Carly, you're in the fight flight. Okay. So learning to get out of that fight flight through being present to yourself. That's what I was saying. How are you showing up for yourself? Are you showing up as a judge? Honestly, that's an honest question. How are you showing up for yourself? If you had to write a character out for how you are with yourself, what would that character be? Would it be a judge, a prison guard, a mean father, a mean mother, someone critical, right? Or would it be a loving friend, a partner, whatever, loyal dog, right? Like, how are you showing up for yourself? Because how we show up for ourselves on the inside is how we're talking to ourselves on the inside, which will either repeat the pattern of the toxic people or it can be something new. The thing is, you guys, you have to create your own life. You have to step outside of the patterning and the conditioning and create a new reality. It is the simplest, actually easiest thing in the world, and the most difficult, challenging thing at the same time. Paradox, right? Because once you start doing it, it is super simple. You come back to yourself, okay? Come back inside yourself. And what I mean by that, watch yesterday's live stream, because I described pretty much what it is a little better than I'm speaking this morning. But coming back into yourself to, like, people will call it grounded, calm, present to your experience, not to the experience that's been told you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to hate yourself when you do something wrong. Really? How about that is how everyone and everything in the world learns to do something right? Would you get mad and hate a dog because it didn't know how to sit the first time you asked it to sit? No, you'd keep training it, right? And you'd keep working with it, and you'd be patient, and you would, so why are you beating yourself up for trying something new, like what color to paint your bathroom, when it's something new? Or if it's something you do all the time, you've conditioned yourself to being judgmental towards yourself. So really, this video isn't about judgment, self-judgment. And judgment is a trap, you guys. You know what? You can try. There's an exercise you can try with judgment where when you catch it, and you're going to catch it, we all catch it, we all do it, okay? Especially us thinker types that are up in our heads and trying to understand our emotions and trying to use our emotional awareness that we call self-awareness up here, right? Instead of living it in our bodies and being present to ourselves and to everything around us. Is an exercise you can try is to catch the judgments when they happen, okay? And just simply say, well, that's an interesting point of view. Because that's all it is. Am I connected? I do not know if I'm connected at all. It's counting. So, okay. My phone is overheating. It breaks the steel walls that judgment feels like, okay? The judgment is constricting. It holds you in place. If you say, talk to a friend and I felt so stupid because everything that came out of my mouth was dumb, and now they must hate me, and I hate myself when I'm around people because I'm never good enough. I'm never good enough for anybody. I'm never right. I'm always, and you feel really self-conscious and you feel really judging of yourself. Is that an expansive experience of yourself? And are you even aware of who you are? Or are you listening to some weird thought tape that comes in your head because of what's been put there and experiences that have, quote, proven it to you, right? Most likely it's the latter, because it's not very expansive to think that way. It keeps me locked in the belief that something's wrong with me. Hey, James and Games, and G, right? Okay, so if you're trapped in a judgment of yourself, how can you make a decision? You can't. You can only choose the one that feels less scary, or you can only choose the one that gives you the least amount of feeling of judgment of yourself. Does that make sense? So if you can stop when you feel that judgment, take 10 to 30 seconds and simply say, interesting perspective. That's an interesting point of view. And make it just that. Feel that in your body. Okay, for me, I feel like I want to laugh when I say that. Like, I literally was feeling that, like, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid right now. What am I saying? I'm too tired to be live streaming. Why are you on here, Lise? Because you should have waited till you woke up more, and then you could speak more, articulately and not be rambling on and blah, 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 and you should have given people more notice so they could get on here. And so, right? Criticism, judgment, self, and if I had gone with that, would I have done anything today? No, right? So instead, as I'm doing that, I'm thinking, well, that's an interesting point of view. It sounds like a broken record from your past, girl. And then I almost want to laugh, because it actually makes me feel like a tickle of laughter, because it's such a lie and it's such a trap. Does that make sense? And if you stay in that trap, the trap is from the narcissism. The trap is from ego. When we're living with narcissistic people, when we're raised by narcissistic people, we are raised in a world of ego. We're raised in a world of other people's ego, other people's total psychological manipulation and delusional world of their grandiose self, right? So if you're trapped in that, and that is what has formed your beliefs and your ideas about life, yeah, how are you supposed to make a decision? Because you'd have to turn to them, right? And that is exactly, especially, there was a guy in my back window, possibly. I'm in a parking lot, so it's totally possible. Oh, there he is. He's getting his mail. He's all right. He's all right. He's just getting his mail. Yeah. So I think I'm in an office business, whatever. So parking lot. Yeah. So yeah, the trap of being in their delusional nonsense world has become a neural pathway, has become the way you think. Okay. So the way to step out of it is to think differently. You're going to resist it. Okay. The resistance to wanting to heal I want to do a whole video on that. The resistance to wanting to heal. We all say, I want to feel better. I want to heal. I want to get past the narcissism. I want to get past, the trauma. But there is so much resistance. I talked to someone yesterday and I was trying to help her, a friend, right? I was trying to help her with something just related to self-judgment, right? And I was saying, well, perhaps try this. And she says, yeah, but then this. And I said, okay, how about, I said, can you just try it? She goes, well, I already know what's going to happen. And I said, well, could you do this? And she goes, well, when I do that, I feel anxious. And I said, okay, good. You feel anxious. That's a feeling. Go with it. Where do you feel anxious? And when I'm trying to talk her through the whole process, right? Like the way I would talk someone through it. And she started laughing and she says, I do realize I'm being resistant. I do realize that I fight so hard to stay where I am instead of letting myself feel better and just actually trying to think. So yeah, where's your resistance? If your resistance is in fear, if your resistance is in self-criticism, all of those things, again, are judgments. So yeah, and Sunny Day says it helps to think, not my circus, not my monkeys. It does. Okay, now apply that to the thoughts in your own head that you think are your own. That's what I'm getting at. We think these thoughts are our own. We think we hate ourselves. We think we are critical of ourselves. We think that, the reason that these affirmations aren't sticking, right, and aren't making it so that it's easy, is because we think it's our thoughts that is the problem. And it never was your thought that was the problem. It was the way your brain took the information in and made it into its own belief system. Because that's how belief systems get started. Okay, it's natural and normal for your brain, and it's very clever of your brain. So thank your brain, because what that means is you can create a new one. You can create your very own belief system about yourself. And through that, you can learn to make decisions. And guess what? 10 seconds later, you can change your mind and you can make a different decision. Maybe not so much if you've already painted a wall. You might have to be like, oh, now I got to buy another gallon of paint and start over, but you can still make a decision. It is programming, and you must reprogram, not deprogram. Got it? Reprogram. You let the old thought tapes run. You let the old programming sit there and do its thing, because if you fight it, you're in resistance. If you're in resistance, you're feeding it. Does that make sense? Yeah, you got it. So if you are reprogramming it or secondary programming it, you're running a new program while the old one runs. the old one will become obsolete if the new program becomes strong. Does that make sense? And it'll still be there. It'll still nag at you. And your new program will say, oh, thank you, because that's helping me learn my new program even better. So you start to learn to, hey, Stacy, I'm glad that's good for you. Okay. You start to learn to use the judgments, the inability to make decisions, the self-criticism as ways to create the new programming. Does that make sense? Your old programming isn't your enemy. It's simply a pattern in your head. Your new programming isn't the hero. It's simply a new pattern in your head that you're trying to get this beautiful thinking thing that's in your head, which is your brain, to follow the pattern of. And if it can follow the pattern of it, your life can change and be different, because your emotions, which is where we live most of our life in our world, right? Your emotions and your thought connection will follow the pattern in the head, okay? And vice versa. That creates the feedback loop. Your body will get great relief from a system that is not tearing it down and is not asking it to hold massive amount of stress in order to function. The old system, the reason you can't make decisions, the feelings of self-judgment and self-criticism are massively stressful on the body. So it's like an old program that takes a machine and it like wears the machine to the ground. And the new program that you're trying to put in there on your own with your consciousness, with your true self, who the heck are you really, right? With the love that you have for all things, and your experience and expression of your own love and your experience. So love of a narcissist, I'm here to tell you guys, you didn't love them. You were addicted to them. Okay. I'm sorry, but it is a truth. Okay. You may love them. That you can love any human being. You can. In love and like attraction, I'm not talking about that. They created a pattern of addiction to them through the trauma bonding. It's very hard to feel the difference when your brain is in the old pattern, because your brain is conditioned, right, to think that way, and you associate that with love. You associate a lot of toxic things with love. So I'm going all over the place today, but there's a point. Okay. The point is that the new conditioning, the new thought patterns that you're going to put in your own head without anybody else influencing it from the outside, that does not feel right to you. Okay? You learn to trust this beautiful thing you have called intuition. And in that intuition links you to a consciousness inside of you that knows what is right for itself. And by right, I don't mean that as a judgment. I mean true, like compass north, the direction you're meant to go. When people say, oh, I know I was meant to do this, or I was meant to, you see something and you're like, I'm meant to have that. I'm meant to be with that. It's that feeling. Okay. That's what you need for yourself. I'm meant to be living this life. Okay. And I am meant to find an upright position, not one where I'm being knocked over all the time because of the old programming. So yeah. Okay. So I'm super all over the place today. I don't know. This is what we got. Okay. Anyway, I guess that's it, you guys. I'm going to head out in a second. I don't know if this was entirely on topic, but okay. As a person with addiction issues, it makes sense. Does it? Okay, good. I realize I'm all over the place, but really the addiction issues, all of it is an old way of thinking. And you know, when you've had to break addiction, you've had to make choices and suffer the discomfort of the old patterns of addiction, right? You have to suffer the old patterns of addiction while you are creating new patterns for health, correct? I mean, I don't have chemical addiction issues, but I certainly have emotional addiction, right? And I have addiction in my family that I have watched, and I have seen it take over. And it always, even as a child watching addiction, to me looked like that's just their thought pattern and their body and their emotions responding to it. What if they thought differently? Would it be different for them? That was my question. And it's not that they're right or wrong. It's just that that's where they are, right? It's not that you're right or wrong. It's just where you are. It's okay. You just find a different way if you choose it, but you have to stand up. You have to stand up inside of yourself, if that makes sense. You have to be present to yourself and be there for yourself. in the way that you would anyone that you truly loved. This is the avenue to self-love, in my opinion. It's not in emotions, it's not in thoughts, and it's not in affirmation. It's in truly embodying the love feeling, the love expression toward oneself. It's including oneself in that. Okay, the suffering is what made me change for the best. Yes, that's kind of what I was getting at, right? When I was talking earlier, that it's the suffering. You go, okay, wow, this is really hard. So you're trauma bonded. Okay, let me just bring it to our terms. Hey, Tanya, so say you're trauma bonded, and you're, for anyone who is right now, and you're going, but this hurts too much. I need to contact them. I really, really, okay. This is so hard. I can't handle it. I can't take it. I can't do this. I can't. And that's all you're saying on the inside, right? And you're feeling the draw toward making it all better through the contact. That's the dopamine. Okay. Chase. Ah, it's all better. I contacted them. And then they're a jerk to you, and then you're hurt, and then you go back into the cycle. I'll never talk to them again. And then the cycle continues, right? So we think we're stuck in a trap. And in fact, you are when you're in that thought loop, when you're in the normal way of thinking. Think of it like a literal groove in your brain, that your thoughts, boop, they go straight there and they stay there. And why they stay there? Because it's the path of least resistance. It's what it's used to. The brain as is like a computer, right? It's taking the information and it's processing and reprocessing and processing and reprocessing. Okay. So if you have a new way of being, a new way of choosing to be inside yourself, right? And you're trauma bonded and you say, no, okay, let's come back to myself. There's my body. Okay. I feel my body. I see my breath going up and down. I can see I'm looking right now around me. I can see the little green leaves on the trees, and I'm experiencing the color of green, what that feels like in my body. It's a happy color to me. Okay, that's nice. And then, okay, there's a little separation, this much. Okay, from that feeling of, that's going on in your head, just the separation. And then you send the thought to your head, right? We're going to do this differently. Thank you for running that program. Go into the new program now. And you start telling yourself, filling up the areas, where do I feel that in my body? Where is my body having this experience of trauma bonding? Oh my gosh, my stomach gets so sick, blah, 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 whatever it is. Okay. Yeah, that does feel sick. You're right. Validate, but from your heart, right? From your being inside yourself, right? And then I'll get to that in a second, Tanya. And then let it go. Stay outside of judgment for 3 seconds. That's the practice. You don't run a marathon by jumping into a marathon, right? You may have to start from the couch to the car, doing little jogs, right? You may have to start very, very small. So don't expect it to be like, well, now I feel so much better. Oh, I know exactly what she's talking about. It's using the trauma, using the experience you're already in to create something different, not from it, outside of it. And the way that I was describing is one way. So Tanya does not really wish to feel in my body right now. Ouch. Okay, then. And if you do not wish to feel in your body, find one place that isn't affected in your body. Hold something in your hand instead and notice the thing you're holding in your hand. Something that's lovely to you, something that has weight, something that has a good texture or a temperature. Notice that external thing, but notice where it touches the body. This is also about brain integration. Our brains, okay, then if you can't get off the couch, then you can put your hand on the texture of the couch and just gently pet it, or an animal, pet a kitty, pet a dog, whatever, and notice where your skin meets that external thing. So what happens with trauma is there's a part of your brain, and I am going to get the name wrong, so I'm not even going to go there. There's a part of your brain that in non-traumatized people integrates the external world differently. It's not met with that instant judgment. It's not met with the instant wall that sends you straight into trigger. Okay. So it's an integrated part of your brain that integrates the outside experience of the world into self. Okay. And that part gets a little, well, it gets atrophied and short-wired from trauma. So noticing the sensation of things helps reintegrate your brain. It's a real thing. Okay. So it's basically, the point is, Tanya, to get outside the trauma loop thinking into an experience of self, whatever that means for you. If you cannot do it through sensation because the body hurts, then like I said, fingertips on a texture, and there's textures all around you, right? You don't need to go anywhere. You can just, skin works, right? Fingertips on anything, the table, anything, and just feel, oh, that kind of tickles. That's kind of a interesting, I'm touching a car piece right now, and it's kind of rough, and it feels, it's like leather, so it feels like leather. It's kind of sticky and whatever, not sticky, but you know, like your finger sticks if you push. That's getting out of my trauma head, right? Okay. So yeah, and how does this all relate to decision making? It gets you into a part of your mind and a part of your awareness that allows you to make choice when you are not stuck in your old loops and thought patterns. So how do you learn to make decisions? It's a little at a time, a little practice, a lot of practice. If you can learn to use that part of your brain that's stuck, instead of getting mad at it and resisting it, use it to do something different, like we were talking about. Okay. So, excuse me, I'm gonna have to go in a second. It's about to get loud. They're having a delivery, apparently. So yeah, I will let you guys go. I will, subscribe, thumbs up if you need coaching, group coaching, anything like that. If you want to talk about what that is, ever ask me questions, I will answer. Or peer support. It's all in the main description of each video, so you can find it there. Or you can find my email there if you have questions about any of that. Yeah, and any topics you want, again, just let me know. I'm keeping lists and trying to work my way through it. You're interested. So Stacey, you can email me. I can send you info if you want. If you don't find it there, Coach Lise C, all one word, CoachLisec@gmail.com. And then we can talk. So let's see, what else? Anything else? I think that's all the business end, right? Yeah. Yeah, this is trying fun. I'm trying to do more live streams and videos. I'm just like, I'll just do it in the car. Whatever it takes, right? So yeah, let me know what topics you want, you guys. And have a wonderful day. You're welcome, Stacey. Have a wonderful day. Hope this made sense. I realize I'm a little all over the place right now. Time to come into myself a little better. There I am. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye. Yay for the little light. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yes. Bye.